Okay. So they call a work plan or method section or scope of services. All of these terms are used interchangeably. Now, read for me the middle section where it's black that talks about the scope of service.
All right, the scope of services is the heart of the application. This section provides the details of the program being proposed, how it would be administered, where the services will be located, who would be served, how clients would be recruited, and how the impacts of the services will be monitored and reported. The project design should clearly reflect how the proposed program of services will address the problem highlighted in the need statement.
Notice, all of them mean the same. Program design, scope of service, and work plan. You're gonna see those terms used interchangeable. But basically what it does, it begin to break down. For example, some of the things they talked about here is in your logic model. What's not in your logic model is how you plan to recruit. That's another element to the logic model. But the basics that you've done already is inclusive of some of the things they're talking about here. Everything follows the need statement. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so what's important about the work plan is that you'll be able to reach out to your target population at some point. That means to put together like surveys and things of that nature. So when you meet with that target population, you can begin to gather information. And we're going to talk about putting together surveys as well as focus group that you ask specific questions. Now, if you was to put together a survey, what would be some of the questions you would ask the people that you're targeting?
I would ask, what would you, because I know this is something that I have in, I think of my questionnaire. Good. What are you looking for in a mentor program?
Good.
Mentor program.
I would ask the targeted group that I'm targeting, what are some of the hurdles you're facing?
Good.
That's good.
Good. So in addition to that, of course, the name, the address, you would ask questions like, what type of neighborhood are you coming from? And you would ask them, if you were, for example, in a position to change the neighborhood, what would you do?
Right.
That last question, a lot of people don't ask. They just ask people to describe the neighborhood, but they don't ask them to describe what you would do. When we talked about earlier about why Chicago has so much problem, because they're not asking the very people, what would you do?
Right.
So this would then begin to put together the information for the work plan. Okay, so let's look at, read this for example for me, because these are some other questions you want to address as well.
Which section you want me to read?
This one in black.
Okay. For example, if you only offer a first-time home buyer class on weekdays, it would be difficult for working families to attend. Offering the program at night might be a better alternative, but it could present daycare issues for parents who wish to attend. How often the program is offered to be given is a second language, may not be clear without input from the community.
So another thing you want to ask in terms of your questionnaire is, what is the best time of the day? Saturday, Sunday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So also add that as part of your survey and your questionnaire. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, again, they put them all together. Work plan, tracking, and accountability. Read this section for me.
Okay. Most work plans require you to plan for 3 phases a startup period, full operations, and then determine how the project will terminate or be continued using identified resources. You must estimate how much time it will take to get a program up and running, how long it will operate, is the project going to continue for a substantial period of time? Other questions include, you want me to read through the questions?
Not the questions yet. I want to go back to that paragraph. Specifically, when they say startup period, that's before the full operation. So what happens during the startup period?
You said what happens during the startup period?
Right. What happens during the startup period?
Sometimes I think I get that
Think about it.
confused. So startup period, I think that time you should already know your business plan and everything at that time.
And that's the introduction period too, to starting the program.
Well, both of you are right, but you want to add this in also. The startup period is when you begin to hire the people that's going to staff it.
Oh.
The startup period is when you're going to do the outreach in order to get the people that's going to participate in the program.
Okay, yeah.
And then that's when the full operation starts. So the startup starts with, okay, well, within the first 30 days, we plan to bring on staff, even though you know who you want to bring on. Also, during the first 30 days, we plan to put together an application, questionnaires, surveys, focus groups, etc. So that happens during the first the startup. Also, during the startup, you have to identify where you're going to be located. You have to identify what equipment are you going to need in order to do your business, computers, etc., etc. So that's what we call the startup period. Okay. The startup period is anywhere from 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
Now, once that happens, then you open your doors, and that's called full operation. Now you're ready to actually serve the people. The last component of that, and funders want to know this, they want to know that as the grant period comes to an end, what do you plan to do to continue the operation? And if they ask you that question, what would you say?
Ooh,
I think you gave us, I would say something similar to, we've taken these professional courses so that we can sustain, grants consistently or something. I think you told us.
No, that's it. That's exactly it. That's all they want to hear. They didn't want to hear that, well, when the program comes to an end, we're looking at, going and get another grant writer, and we're looking for grant. What you want to say, no, we already prepared. We got all this internally.
Right.
So as this phase out, you're going to say, as this phase out, the last month, we've already begun to apply for another grant so we don't break the cycle.
Right.
That makes sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Whenever you're talking to people about money, and they come to that question about, well, what happens when the grant is, the funding period cease to exist? That's when you throw in there. In the 11th month, we plan to start putting in grants. So by the time it sunsets and on December the 31st, we already got a grant that's going to kick in starting on January 1st.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes,
that
it
makes
does.
a lot of sense.
Excellent. Now let's read about some of the questions that you should have.
Okay, will the program require creation of a waiting list for new students being referred by the community policing team? What tracking will be done with students who graduate from the program?
Well, what tracking are you going to do for people that finish your program?
That's going to be the 30.
Yeah.
Is it? Better give the specifics right here. That's the 30, 90, and 180 day follow-up.
Okay. So yeah, that's up
We
to
was ready for that one, Michael. We ready for that one.
I know you were, right?
Mhm.
Now the next one.
Where are we at? What track? Oh, what legal documents might be necessary to operate the program?
For your program, the legal document is going to be a letter signed by that parent. If that person you're dealing with is not 18. So they actually have to sign saying that they give their child permission to be in your program.
Right.
So that's one of the legal documents that you would have to put together. Because part of that legal document also is going to say that, look, you can't sue us if something happened to your child if we operate in the best possibility. So that should also be in that legal document. Okay, next.
What approvals from outside agencies or local governments might be needed?
This is only if you run into a situation where you are doing a partnership with an outside agency or local government. Next.
Okay. How often will progress be reported and to whom? How will information or participants be protected?
Let's go to the first part. How often will progress be reported? How do you know how often progress reports need to be done?
Well, the grant details might have,
Okay.
you know, I'm assuming
exactly.
that. Yeah.
They're gonna let you know, 30, 60, or whatever the case might be.
Right.
Now, how will the information on participants be protected? For example, you're gonna have sensitive information, their name, their address, and things of that nature. You might even have their social security number if it's a grant.
Is that where we say that we store the documents in a secure place?
Exactly, exactly. I can't catch y'all with anything, okay?
No, you can't. You can't, Michael. We ready.
Next, number 6.
Is there a proper system to track expenditures, receipts, and to request reimbursements?
So, how you going to do this?
We kind of started that.
That's that program. We can get a program, right, to help us with that.
And what is it called?
Yeah, QuickBooks or
QuickBooks, exactly. That's that. QuickBooks will do all of this.
right.
And then finally, number 7.
Have subcontract agreements or memorandum of understandings with your program project partners been drafted, approved, or signed? Have.
That's only if you partner. Let's say, for example, that program that you visit, let's say they would say to you, look, we really need your service. And we think you got something we want. Well, they would then put together what's known as, and yourself, a memorandum of understanding as to what should be done and what shouldn't be done. Okay, let's continue to move forward. All right, read that first sentence for me.
How will the program be internally evaluated to ensure all requirements are being met? How will it be known that objectives are being met?
Now, go directly down to the last paragraph. They're going to tell you how you're going to be able to show and how to internally do it to evaluate your program.
Okay. A Gantt chart is a graphical representation of tasks as segments on a time scale. It helps plan, monitor. Move that. No, move this because it's in.
Is it black?
It helps plan and monitor project development or resource allocation. The left-hand side of the Gantt chart, is a column with lists of tasks. The horizontal axis is a time scale expressed either in absolute or relative time. In a Gantt chart, each task takes up one row. Dates run along the top in increments of days, weeks, or months. Rows of bars in the Gantt chart have the start and end dates of each task in the project. Tasks may run sequentially in parallel or overlapping.
And this is what a Gantt chart looks like. It's talking about what the task is, when it's going to start, when it's going to finish, the staff assigned to it, and a breakdown of what happens every month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now read this section right here where it says screen.
Screen and secure mentors, train mentors, link mentors with students, assess mentors, mentee relationships.
Now these are 4 of their tasks. Each of these tasks has to have a start date, a finish date, and a breakdown of what's going to be done every month. Now, finally read the last paragraph.
Whatever chart or method is used, costs for each milestone can be included within the chart. This will help give an idea of what the expected cash flow needs will be throughout the project. On the cart provided estimate what you think the cost could be for each element listed.
Okay, so that means that when we talk about costs, because the grant is going to last for 12 months, every month you're going to allot, let's say you got a grant for 12,000. So it's going to focus January, 1,000 spent. February, 1,000 spent. So it's going to break down what was the cost and what was done. Okay, so far so good?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to skip this right here because it's a repetition of what was stated already. Now, what I want you to do for me is to read this breakdown here, starting here.
All right, the activities to occur along with the related resources and staff needed to operate the project. A flow chart of the organization.
What is it called?
Inputs.
Inputs.
Yeah.
Okay, input is all the activities that you're going to need and resources. We need 3 staff individuals. That's an input. We need a secretary. We need computers, etc., etc. Okay, that's called input. The next one.
Was it 2? A flow chart of the organizational features of the project describe how the parts interrelate, where personnel will be needed and what they are expected to do. Identify the kinds of facilities, transportation, and support services required through puts.
Through puts. We learn inputs, and now we learn throughputs. What's next?
Okay. Explain what will be achieved through 1 and 2 above outputs, i.e. plan the measurable results. Project staff may be required to produce evidence of program performance through an examination of stated objectives during either a site visit by the grantor agency or foundation and or grant reviews, which may involve peer review committees.
Okay, so what is one way that we can measure success? This is a reminder. That we can show them this is what success look like. This is how we want to measure success.
So
I can only say it begins with L.
You said it begins with an L?
Yeah.
L.
Logic model.
Oh, logic model.
Yeah, that's one way we can measure the results. To see what's known as a logic model.
I'm writing this down.
Oh, I got y'all that time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You got it up.
Now I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we overthink it, huh, Michael?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially since we just went over it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next.
What number are we on?
Number 4.
I think 6.
It may be useful to devise a diagram of the program design. Such a procedure will help to conceptualize both the scope and the detail of the project.
Now, we definitely can use that prep that we talked about earlier to fulfill this requirement. If necessary, normally preps and things like that not necessary unless you're going for really sizable amounts of money.
Right.
Okay, let's continue. Yeah, I do want to read this. Read this for me.
Okay.
It's another evaluation tool.
Projects can easily be laid out using commercial off-the-shelf project management software that will run on any personal computer.
Now, hold on, Mike. Do y'all use any project management tools in your office?
Not currently, no.
Okay, continue.
A program evaluation and review technique, PERT, chart could be used in support of and justifying some proposals.
Now they talk about the prep chart. What was the first type of chart? It begins with G.
The
Gantt.
Right. Exactly. Prep is another form that we can use because prep not only identifies time used, but also money used and percent of time staff is committed to that particular project. So 2 ones is prep and the Gantt one. Okay, now let's pull it all together now and read this one.
All right, methods. By means of the objectives, you have explained to the funder what would be achieved by the project. The methods section describes the specific activities that will take place to achieve the objectives. It might be helpful to divide our discussion of methods into the following: how, when, and why.
Now, the how, the when, and the why. One of the most important section of a grant is the method section. Let's talk about the breakdown of the different components and what should it
Michael, let me ask you this before we go forward. I know I mentioned this probably a couple of weeks ago, but this section that we're covering is the method section. But again, to me, we've covered the how, when, and why, I mean, it's like we're repeating, but we're calling it something different. Now we're calling it the method section, but before we call it some type of model, but all of them address the how, when, and why.
Yeah, but the method section addresses this in more detail. For example, we use a logic model to outline the program.
Right.
We use the prep in order to break down how the resources are being used. So everything is being broke down specifically. So you're right. It's the same old, but it's different tools that we use to tell the story.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right. So how? This is the detailed description of what will occur from the time the project begins until it is completed. Your method should match the previously stated objectives. When? The method section should present the order and timing for the task. It might make sense to provide a timetable so that the grant's decision maker does not have to map out the sequencing on his or her own. The timetable tells the reader when and provides another summary of the project that supports the rest of the method section.
Remember we talked earlier about the breakdown, what happened from 30 days, 60 days, etc. We say we call it startup, full operation, and aftermath.
Right. Yep.
See, a lot of this stuff is being repeated. Just repeated, but it's done in a different way. I like the way they did it because they break it in 3 categories: the how, the when, and the why.
Right.
The rest of the information that we know was all out there. Now we bring it home and say, okay, let's make it make sense.
Right. No, you're right. When? You may need to defend your chosen methods, especially if they are new or unorthodox. Why? I'm sorry. This is the why. You may need to defend your chosen methods, especially if they are new or unorthodox. Why will the plan work most effectively lead to the outcomes you anticipate? You can answer this question in a number of ways, including using expert testimony and examples of other projects that work. The methods section enables the reader to visualize the implementation of the project. It should convince the reader that your agency knows what it is doing, thereby establishing its credibility.
And this is as important as the rest of them. Because now, how do you defend your argument that at-risk youth are a problem?
said, how do you?
What type of evidence are you going to provide?
Oh, that at-risk or problem.
Yes.
The rate of youth that don't finish high school, truancy.
But what is it called when we how in terms of how do we
Data.
what type of data?
Mm.
Remember the two words that we talk about all the time.
Quantitative.
Yes, and qualitative.
Qualitative.
That's how we make the argument. When we go to the why. Well, the why is because according to the University of Tampa, at-risk youth are more likely to be at risk during the hours of such and such and such. You might find another study, according to the NACCP, based on their research, young people are at risk because there are no role models or there's nothing to do after school. So that addresses the why. That's remember I think we look at a couple examples of research to show that there was a problem with young people. I think when we talked,
we did.
Yeah. Yep. So we would simply just cut and paste that information in the why section. But the method section then deals with 3 parts. What are the 3 sections of a method section?
The how, the when, and the why.
And what are other interchangeable terms used for the method section?
What are the, you said, what was that, Michael?
Yeah, what are the other terms that mean the same thing as methods?
Is this the inputs, outputs, and throughputs? No.
Other ones would be, for example, scope of service.
Oh,
right.
Another would be work plan. All of these are basically all the same.
Right, and we've covered those.
Yes.
Which is what I was saying earlier. I'm like, I thought we went through this, but yeah.
But we went through it, but as you see, we repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
So Mike, you're right. We did go through this, but we're looking at it in different ways to try to input it. So
no, you're right. I like it too, Michael, because it hammers it home, you know.
When you teach somebody, it's called repetition.
Right, repetition.
The same thing in a different way. So you're right. That's why you say, oh, he said that before. But now I'm saying it in a different way. Now I'm saying it in another different way.
Right.
It's called repetition.
Yep.
You're right.
Yeah. So you made that observation early on. But I was waiting to the end, you're right. I was waiting to the end to say that, right? That's what this is all about, looking at it from different perspectives.
Right.
Okay.
And you never know what the grantor, what they're going to be requesting, which method they're going to want to see,
Exactly. So now you know all of those different methods. More importantly, you know how to look at the method section from 3 different perspectives.
Right.
I gave you 3 different ways of looking at it. 3 different people that are doing method section, although they basically are the same. Let's look at it going. Let me bring it up in the background. Hold on. While we're going to look at it, Grant, what do you think of this section right here?
I like it. I mean, again, it's reinforcing some of the things that, like we just spoke about, that we covered, but in a different way. Like you said, it's giving some more detail. And I think with all the different models that we went over and the different methods, we will become experts about our program and how to explain our program and how to present our program. We'll become experts on how to present our program.
Okay, good. Let's look at one particular grant. I'm bringing it up now. This is an example of a grant. And I'm gonna show you two types, both basically the same format. This particular grant was submitted by a group called Kids with a Call. As you can see, this is that preliminary information. And you probably say, why would someone's personal information be on there? Whenever you write a grant and you submit that grant, all of your personal information is going to be on there. It's called being transparent.
Okay.
Now they break that grant proposal into two areas. It's called the concept paper. The first talk about the project summary. Notice what's in the first paragraph. Read the first paragraph to me, because that should be the first paragraph of your, when you go for grant, this should be your first paragraph.
Okay. Kids with a Call Incorporated is requesting $5,000 for the purpose of purchasing musical instruments, string instruments to enhance its summer program by creating a musical program. The program provides participants between the ages of 5 to 15 with a music-based program to develop character, a sense of community, enrich their communication and learning skills, introduce them to foreign languages, and improve positive behaviors. As stated by the Children's Board, we support the success of all children and families in Hillsborough County.
Specifically, this last sentence is important, because what they did was to say, hey, Children's Board,
Yeah.
like you, we support all children as well in Hillsborough County.
Right.
Notice what's particular about this first paragraph. It's telling you how much they want.
Right.
It's telling you what they plan to use it for. It's telling you who they plan to use it for.
Right.
And it tells you why they want to use it. You have to do all that in your first paragraph.
Just get right to the point.
Exactly. And then in your paragraphs that come after that, you begin to talk about your nonprofit. This nonprofit has been around for a minute. So notice how they pretty much outline. Now, this particular lady here was a teacher.
Okay.
And she felt that, well, retired teacher, she had retired. And she felt that the school system was not offering music.
Music.
Mhm.
Yep.
And she felt that music was a way to, in fact, help the child educationally.
Right.
And by using this method, you actually can teach kids other things. But she had to make an argument. First of all, notice how she talks. She's going to be quoting from different types of folks to show that it does work. Read this right here. That's called KAC.
Okay, KWAC will promote and recognize the diversities in diverse learning styles of children and promote lessons that focus on the 8 intelligences of learners.
Okay, she's using music to do that. But what is KAC?
That's the abbreviation for the program.
Yeah.
Kids with a Call.
Yeah, exactly. So y'all got me again. I thought y'all gonna miss that one, right?
No.
Yeah, notice how she abbreviated up here, just like y'all abbreviated. And then as you move forward, you talk about the abbreviation. Okay, let's continue on to see if there's anything else.
Michael, so this is someone that you actually work with?
This is someone that received the grant.
Okay,
this
so she did get the
grant.
So she did get the grant then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
She definitely got the grant. I mean, she did her homework, just like y'all doing your homework.
Right. No, that's good. Yep.
Yeah, she did her homework. All right, let's continue on. Okay, this other stuff I'm sending to you, but this stuff right here is just added stuff. about the program. She does emphasize what's going to happen after 28 hours. For example, what's going to happen after 10 hours. You need to talk about that with your kids, with your people that you're going to be dealing with. She asked more stuff. Look at this right here. Read this right here.
10-year study shows music improves test scores.
And what is that called?
Quantitative evidence?
Yes, yes, exactly. No, quantitative evidence. She used to support her argument.
Right.
Hold on. Not only I'm saying it works, but there was a 10-year study done. And who was the study done by?
UCLA.
UCLA. You see how important it is that you use those sources to show the why. It's not me saying it. It's them saying it.
Right.
Okay. Then we continue on. This way you begin, they're going to be asking questions like the organization staff. That's where you put in the staff, volunteers, or whatever the case might be, job titles. This is an actual proposal that was submitted to the Hillsborough County Children's Board. Then you talk about your internal capacity to administrate the program. This is when she talked about her background. Nate, you and your wife, this is when y'all begin to talk about your background.
Okay.
Now, the other thing she talked about, the fact is that she also planned to bring in volunteers. So you're also going to talk about that also in your proposal. Your volunteers going to come through a partnership like we're working with the university. They love to give students something to do. They call them community service projects.
Right.
And you can use them just like paid staff. Okay, now, this is important because one of the things this grant is asking, these are our strategic plans. She began to talk about how her proposal aligns with the strategic plan. So let's read the first paragraph.
As a certified school teacher with over 30 years of experience, Ms. Jocelyn Carpenter has worked with kids throughout Hillsborough County, including the area in which she will operate the program. She has a relationship with the parents in the area as well as the neighborhood groups and other services in the community.
Okay, read the next paragraph.
To financially manage our organization's finances, we have hired Mr. Howard McKnight, CPA, on a need-to-use basis.
Now, what would you put there?
On who we hired?
To financially manage our organization, what would you say?
I mean, we're managing our own, right?
Yeah,
for right now,
we're doing.
No, you want to say to financially manage our organization, we have purchased the software QuickBooks.
A software.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's just like a CPA.
Okay.
Right.
So that's how you would put it in your section to financially manage the organization. You
Right.
would put in the software that you purchased. Now, this goes back to what we talked about. The next thing they ask is implementation plan and timeline. So read her plan of action.
Okay, implementation plan and timeline, process, objective.
Remember in the logic model, project objective. It was right there in the logic model that y'all did, okay?
Yep.
All right, next, go ahead, read.
Activities.
No, read about what is the project objective.
Oh, okay. Enhance organization capacity to provide tools to serve its clients and enhance its sustainability.
Good.
You want me to move forward?
Next.
Okay, activities, purchase music, instruments, and material. Responsible parties, executive director, expected outcomes, organizational effectiveness, to service our clients will be enhanced. Indicator measurements, we will have the tools needed to develop character, a sense of community, enrich their communication and learning skills, introduce them to foreign languages and improve positive behaviors, data source, purchase receipts, time of measurement. Within 4 months of receiving the grant, all items will be purchased.
Okay, now notice how this is what? This is a logic model right here.
Right.
Think about it, y'all. That's why we went over that logic model. This is a logic model right here. And the only thing they did was to take that model that was in the graphic form and put it like this. And they call it what? Implementation plan and timeline.
Yep, that's the logic model.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, and then they're going to submit their budget. Let's look at one more proposal. Let me come out of this, which is going to be basically the same, but they're going to have a budget. This particular group is a group that's focused on creating videos. Okay, let me find that one. Hold on 1 second, I'm looking for. I got it. Can we bring this up? Okay, this group is called Blue Rock Media. Now, how much money are they asking for?
It's $4,010. Oh, no, yeah. Hold on. It might be,
they're
4,010.
Yeah,
because their total budget for the year is 8,000. Now, how can they say their total budget is 8,000 if they really don't have no money?
Because it seems like they planned ahead and written down everything that they're actually going to need for their program.
No, they're going to say it's in-kind service. This is the time they plan to commit. And if they was paid, it would be $8,000.
Okay, no, repeat that again, because that kind of went over.
See, they're saying that total agency budget for this year is 8,000.
Right.
Yet they only asking for 4,000 for the program.
Right.
See, when you write a grant, you have to talk the total year as well as the request that you're making.
But why are they asking only?
So that means they're volunteering their time for the other 4,000?
No, what they're saying is this. They're saying, the grantor is saying, we want to give you up to $5,000. But we want to look at your total budget. And they're saying that of your total, what is your total budget? And basically they're saying that minus 4,000, the rest of it is in in-kind service. For example, when I started, when in this sector, I got a grant from them also, by the way, the children's board. I got a grant to get a projector screen or something like that. But I put in 10,000 because I say I'm putting 8,000 in terms of hours of volunteer work. And then I said, if I was getting paid, my hourly wage will be $35 an hour. See, when it's a small grant, you can use in-kind.
Right, but doesn't in-kind, but that's not, you're not getting that money though, right?
No, but that's the money you would get if you paid for it.
Right, so when I said that means it's basically volunteering, well, they're working, that's what I was trying to say earlier, that, so, yeah, but they're not getting that money, but they're saying that's what they would get if they were getting paid.
Yes. Your budget, and we're going to get into budget at another point. Your budget is going to actual money and in-kind money.
Right.
Let's say, for example, if we got volunteers, you're gonna put them as part of the budget.
Right.
Let's say, for example, somebody donated a computer to you. You're gonna put that as part of the budget.
Right.
Now, this organization basically didn't have any staff. It was only asking for money to get equipment. Like you be asking, for example, if the only thing you wanted was equipment.
Right.
They wasn't asking for staff or anything like that because they had just gotten started. And they said, we just need money in order to purchase video equipment. Because once we got that video equipment, now we can go for bigger grants. Because now we got the camera we need, we got the screens that we need, all those things that we need to make it work. Let's see what they need to make it work. Starts off first with, read the first paragraph.
Blue Rock Media Incorporated is requesting $4,010 for the purpose of purchasing an Apple 27-inch iMac computer, Apple MacBook Pro laptop, and service plan, 2 Toshiba DR430 DVD recorders, and an Apple iPad Air 2 and service plan to increase our capacity to provide service to our clients and build organizational sustainability by having tools to operate effectively and efficiently in executing our vision and mission. Nonprofits, families, and youth will benefit from this project, particularly nonprofits and service families and children, and that we will assist their organizations in producing fundraising videos to increase their financial sustainability and other videos to tell their stories. Youth will be provided with the technical skills necessary to produce professional, high-definition videos that have a positive impact on their peers.
See, basically what they want is money for that nonprofit in order to have the equipment necessary so they can teach kids how to do videos. Now, what they plan to do once they get this, now they want to go for another grant to get staff. See, this grant right here is going to get the equipment, and the next grant they go for is going to bring on staff.
So it's better to sometimes to go ahead and start small.
Yeah, because the first thing you want to do is to say you got all the equipment you need.
Right.
And everything like that.
Right.
So that's what they did. And that's a strategy we use. Because I knew where they want to eventually get, the building and everything. But I said you have to start off first with building capacity. Get those things that's necessary in order that you can do what you need to do. And you can do what you need to do because you already talked about volunteers that's going to be doing the work. You just need the equipment for them to do the work with.
Right.
So that makes sense?
That makes plenty of sense.
Okay. It's all what they say it is sanity to the madness. Okay, now they're talking a little bit about that nonprofit. We're gonna go through this. They talking more about that nonprofit. I'm gonna send y'all both of these so y'all can look at these two grants.
Okay.
And I want you to give me some feedback as which one you think is the best and why.
Okay.
Okay, now they talking about that project goals.
Let me ask you, Michael, right, stop for a second. What is the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development? What is that?
Where you see that?
It's in under the organizational capacity. It's 1, 2, 3. It's in the third paragraph at the bottom of the third paragraph.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't believe you asked me that question.
Oh, that's you.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's you. I know, but the reason I asked because I know I've seen it somewhere. I'm like, okay.
See, a lot of time when you write, and the people writing grant, they don't have the capacity to say, hey, we got a consultant that is with us that, you know, has that background.
Right.
Okay.
That sells the deal when you're just getting started and what have you, right?
I knew I saw that somewhere. I'm like, the Center for Nonprofit and Community. That sounds real fancy. I'm like, what is that?
That's me. I agree. And like I say, they got the grant. They got the grant.
Yeah.
Because they was able to show, even though we knew, we still have capacity in order to make it work. And they talked about, they've already identified churches that they're going to be working with, the whole 9 yards.
That's a different concept. Just reading over the grant, the angle that they're going at is to provide video services for nonprofit organizations to help them get their name. I'm like, wow, that's a good angle to go at.
Yeah, and that's why they call themselves. Let's go back. Blue Rock Media Inc.
Oh yeah, Blue Rock.
That's all they do is they're a video company.
Right.
That's all they do. But they need Apple computers and all that stuff in order to do video.
Right.
High tech.
Now, what they're going to do now, since they got all this equipment, is they will contact a nonprofit like yours.
Right.
They say, hey, buddy, we noticed that you're doing some positive things in the community with you. Well, we're a video company and we're a nonprofit. We can collaborate and do a joint project. That is, they say, if you write the grant, we will provide the service. That's how they're making their money.
Right.
That's definitely how they're making their money. Just like part of your money is going to be made when you begin to address the at-risk. You're going other people that kids are not at risk is going to ask you for your services if you do a good job. That's where your money come from, because you can charge them.
Okay.
Because the grant is going to pay for the at-risk. But you want to create different streams of income that's coming in.
Right.
You might have a tutoring program that's focused towards at-risk, but also other kids who are not at risk that need that. That's where you're breaking your bread and your butter come from.
Right.
Okay, let's continue on. They continue to talk about that twofold objective. Let's continue on. The CEO, he talks about his background. He talks about, and he works with a lot of churches. And right now, his current job prior to this was doing video for churches.
Right.
Churches will hire him to come in and all churches do videos and everything of their services. He's the person that does that video. But he wanted to branch off now to do his own company.
Right.
He used the background, say, look, we got experience in doing video from working with these churches. Okay, just like you would talk about your experience is working with young people. You break down what their experience entails.
I like the second part of his mission is to work with youth, though, to teach the youth how to make these videos. So that's a nice, that'll help him get those grants when you mention all that.
Exactly, man. Exactly. It's madness to all this, man, right?
Right.
And forgive me for the typo. This is a draft for the final one. But I think you get the gist of it from the draft.
Yes.
Okay, and then he talked about his financial advisor. He talks about the fact that she has experience with IRS preparation. What would you talk about when it comes to financial control?
Now this would still be our QuickBooks, right?
Exactly. This way you will put, everybody's going to ask for financial control. This is where you put it in QuickBooks. They talk about a volunteer that's going to help them.
Okay.
Okay, it's getting more information about the target population, what they plan to do. Read through this because you can snatch some of this stuff and put it into your grant.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Then we get down to the names of the directors. And now look at that breakdown. Implementation plan and timetable. Read that for me.
Process objective, enhance organization capacity to provide quality services and increase client base. Activities, purchase equipment, responsible parties, executive director, expected outcomes, organizational effectiveness to serve our clients will be enhanced. Indicators, measurements, We will measure our success based on a 15% to 25% increase in new clients that we provide services for, data source, purchase receipts, time of measurement. Within 4 months of receiving grants, all items will be purchased.
Okay, also, look at that logic model, just like the logic model of the other grant.
Yes.
I like when they talk about their measurements. They talk about how they're going to measure success. They break it down. Just like you talk about how you're going to measure success.
Right.
Break it down. Okay, now, how much money are they asking for?
$4,000.
Now, here's the breakdown of their budget. Notice how they break down the items that they need.
Right.
The first item they need?
$1,800.
For what?
$1,800?
For what? Right.
For Apple 26 inch.
Remember they talked about right in the first paragraph. They talk about the Apple computers they need. Now they break it down as to how much it costs. Now, what I like the way we did this one right here, we actually, because most times you don't have pictures, you just have verbiage, right, about it. So I told her, I said, look, man, let's do something different this time. Let's actually go snatch the picture offline so they can visually see what we want instead of just reading what it consists of. And it did work because the people that gave the grant say they was really impressed with the graphics.
Right. No, that's a nice touch. Yep.
Yeah. Now, also keep in mind, whenever you deal with other people's money, you're going to have to look at 3 sources and come up with the best one.
Okay. Yeah.
So what he did, he knew he wanted an Apple computer. So he looked at 3 different people that were selling. Like this one is $1,800, but he looked at one that was $2,500 for the same computer and another one that was $2,000. His argument was that of the 3 prices, $1,800 was the best one. People want to know that you are consciously making sure you use that money in the cheapest way possible. Some people just buy anything the first time, but you actually, when you're buying things, you have to look at 3 different prices that come up with the best price.
Right.
Yeah. So this talks about the other item we need, because he's getting 2 apples notes. But he's making an argument that the money is going to come back.
Right.
Now he's making an argument that the money will come back. Okay, now here's another thing, $200. What is he going to use $200 for?
For the 1-year protection plan for the Apple Mac Pro laptop.
Now, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
You better bet it makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know that $1,000 investment, you need to have something that will protect you. A lot of people don't do this.
Yep.
And the point is they pay attention, man. What's going to happen if the computer breaks?
Right.
Right.
Bam. Okay, the next item they're going to get?
This is an Apple iPad Air 2 Wi-Fi 128 gigabytes space gray.
For $700. And what else are they going to do?
The 1-year protection plan.
1-year protection. And then finally, $170 at 2, $85 a piece. That's the DVD. They got everything they need. Well, I'm surprised they don't have a video camera.
They probably already have that, maybe?
Yeah, that's why I forgot to. You know, these people right here, they're smart. They're going to use the church because they do the churches and they use their video equipment. The churches said that they could use their video equipment.
Okay.
Oh.
But they already got, I think they got their video equipment, their camera cost $25,000.
Wow.
But guess what? They eventually gonna buy their own though.
Right.
Because that second grant is gonna talk about that we built capacity, we got the equipment. Now we need a professional video camera in order to increase our capacity.
Right.
That's smart.
Because the only thing this group, they was only giving $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't ask for 25,000 cameras when they only are going to give out 5,000.
Right.
I think that's it here. So I'm going to be sending y'all all of this. Let me